Okay, once again, welcome. Now I'll pass on another level. It's a technical level, but totally different from the fraud management one. Today I want to talk about the opportunity that the program European Anti-Fraud is giving for projects like FRED. Let me open the curtain and see what we are talking about. So peculiarities in the 2024 corporate proposal of the mentioned program. Okay, there can be a reasonable question why we are talking about the 2024 question. Specific peculiarities because the work program of the funding system is the one for the entire duration up to from 2021 up to 2027. And so we will talk about this one because there are this year important news that of course will be replicated next year. First of all, let me start with as I usually do since the kickoff of the project, because for us, FRED is education in fraud repression with class and style. Of course, the inspiration is the famous dancer. We'll make a note to our handkerchief because we would go later to a fascinating proposal about future possibilities. Okay, this is the infrastructure of the FRED 2. FRED 2 is replied to the cold fiche published in 2021. As you can see, there are two main priorities in the program, which is and teams, of course. In which every year the program is focused. I can anticipate since now that, as you can see, the one we replied with FRED 2 project, the TRI 202, is related to conference, workshops, and seminars. Which is one of the possibilities that we adopted because we believe important to organize event like this one, putting together around the same table, practitioner and the academic field, to improve the communication between these two aspects. Peculiarities of the 2022 call, as you can see, was 1,100,000 for the training, dedicated to training. And the project is co-founded by the European Commission, the EUAF program, with a big percentage, as you can see, 80%, that could be raised to 90% in certain cases. The final detail, another detail in which I'm very personally motivated, is the date of the submission of the FRED 2 proposal. That was the June 14th, 2022. I was sick, totally sick with a COVID, but I succeeded in starting the submission button 2 years ago. ID of the project, sorry, I used the Italian identity card, as you probably, of course, is very well known since since a year and a half of the duration of the project. The consortium is a mono-beneficiary, mono-partner. So Sapienza, the university we are representing, with the center in Presapiens. We saw Professor Calabrese opening this event. But even it is a mono beneficiary in terms of grant agreement since the beginning involved 4 universities. So 3 universities. One is represented by Nikki here. I have to say a special thanks to Nikki, because as she remembered, it is something like 10 years, more than 10 years that we are cooperating, we are exchanging, we are working in different projects. So submitting, when thinking, planning about FRED 2 project, my brain came here in Attica for involving the University of West Attica, but another environment, because we want to maximize the European dimension of the project. So why thinking only to the south of the Union? It is important also to think to the north of the Union, also because the behavior, the ethics in terms of fraud and management of frauds are totally different. So we involved two universities in the very north of the Union, in Finland, the Lapland University, and in Sweden, but Sweden decided not to follow us in this part. Of course, just to maximize also the Italian presence, as stated by the work program, we added 4 Italian university, which in certain in different level we are cooperating. The duration is the University of L'Aquila, University of Reggio Calabria, University of Venice, and University of Sassari in Sardinia. The duration of FRED 2 is 24 months. We started in April and we will finish in March next year with a fireworks conference in Brussels. We are thinking about, we are organizing, start organizing yet. I found the premises where to have this conference in Brussels. I forgot a relevant university, foreigner university, which is the Louvain University. Also, thanks to the cooperation of the Italian AFCOS, it was a pleasure to work with the Louvain University with a professor, with an Italian professor. As you can see, the last information is the budget is 91,000 euro. This is an amount that is changing, of course. It is possible now to submit a proposal with a higher amount, but we will talk about later. This is the system, what we call FRED 2 system, which is relevant also in terms of the future, because if we want to proceed with FRED 2 activities in a FRED 3 activities, or as you will see in my strong proposal in the end of my presentation, we have to keep into consideration, of course, a system, a new dedicated system. Of course, to proceed with the own anti-fraud observatory, we have with difficulties start up in Italy. We are increasing the setup of the observatory. We want to involve more entities. One that is my last work, let me say, in the Statistical Institute in Italy, ISTAT, who is very relevant. I had discovered that one of the general manager of ISTAT is a good friend of mine, and so I'm starting involving her to in the FRED 2 system. The other element, the other components is the experiential collab learning. This is something that was stated directly in the call for proposal. And this, of course, is just to boost, to increase the cooperation between these two words, which are not disconnected, but not very well connected. And that's the competence and skill framework of what we want to also adding a third component to skills and competence, also attitude, because the attitude towards fraud, it's the psychological attitude is another important element that probably we are not keeping into consideration a lot in FRED 2 projects. But this is a food for thought for the next project, probably. Let me now talk about the annual work program, the present one, 2024. As you can see, the work program was adopted on February. I'm talking about past dates because in the next year will be more or less the same. So we are expecting on February 2025 the exit of the adoption of the annual program of the European Anti-Fraud Program, probably with a similar budget as you can see here to 25 million and a half, and part allocated in the actions, in the different actions. As you can see, 16.06 million allocated for action to fight fraud, corruption, and illegal activities, and other components dedicated to the assistance. As you can see, the two call for proposal of this year, 2024, once again, but again, let me repeat, not will be so different next year. One is dedicated to technical assistance. It's the big part. As you can see, the budget 10 millions. And again, training conference and staff exchanges and studies. Staff exchanges is something that is very challenging. We are not doing anything in FRED 2, but staff exchange could be a good possibility.
We're expecting everybody, we're expecting to be included in the next project, okay? Exchange cuts and delays with Vanni.
Just make a circle around Vanni.
Yeah.
Not only around me, but also around my colleague and my friend Cruciano Cruciani, who is relevant. He's the let me say the top point of the arch, having the department represented by the AFCOS. Other fast information: the call for proposal this year expired on May the 7th. Again, I'm saying that because remember, FRED 2 has been submitted in June. This year, the deadline was in May, anticipated a bit. Next year, it will be in between May and June. Of course, the 5 in the afternoon Brussels time. At 5 in the afternoon, two things are important: the deadline of a call for proposal and the corrida in Spain. But now, alle 5 de la tardes, but now it's something that luckily we are abandoning, and the Spanish one are abandoning. I put, because I left this presentation, the call documents, the relevant documents for the submission of the proposal. Again, okay, it is the past one, but the future one will be not very different. Let's see an explosion of the topics of the two calls. As you can see, we have technical assistance, TA, and TRAI, the training and conferences and staff exchange. As you can see, probably it is more detailed, the one dealing with the technical assistance, split in 4 topics, and exactly the same 4 topics of 2022, 2 years ago when we submitted FRED 2, are the content of the present year call for proposal. Let's see eligible actions, also in view of the future system for the project. Advanced equipment, we mentioned, my previous colleague mentioned about AI, which is something that we cannot skip. This morning I told to Maria Felice what I'm fighting. I'm struggling in my lecture with the AI. I show her a video because I had some lesson in Italian, and I nastily decided to translate using the artificial intelligence with a terrible results, but this is another story. Let me also focus on specific topic, which could be focus a project, future project, facilitate investigation. And this is a part of, again, the job, the algorithm that is creating by Maria Felice Arezzo, for example. Of course, cross-border operation is relevant topics on which focus, relevant action, sorry, on which focus a proposal, a future proposal, technical cooperation support. You can see I highlighted in red the most important things. Just to support in national and international investigation, IT capabilities, also in terms of analysis of data, grouping, clustering, merging data with electronic system. Of course, this is always relevant. And specialized training, fraud analysis workshop, conference and study, like what we are doing today with you. Type of participant countries. Here it is something that I want to mention. Of course, the area is very vast, but the framework is still focused, as you can see in the next slide, on a mono beneficiary project. I had an interview. I was interviewed by the European Anti-Fraud Program together with a colleague of Colonel Cruciani, asking what is good and what is not in the call for proposal of a European anti-fraud program. Of course, my first concern was the fact that the proposal should not be mono-beneficiary. It makes no sense to organize a conference here in Athens, but managed by Sapienza in Italy. It's totally a nonsense. It's much better to dedicate a special budget to all the universities, to all the partners belong in the consortium, and then organize properly things.
And this in this project, all the money come from only to the University of Sapienza. We did not get money. Everything has to be from Sapienza.
And it is something I want to fight, and I express thoroughly my opinion against in this interview. Anyway, eligibility of the country, you can see it's very vast. We can have all the European countries for the training call, for example, but also the OCT, overseas countries and territories, is the acronym, which means fantastic places like which are European Union, but not in the continent, in the continental Europe. For example, I'm going. Okay, I'm cutting. Like Aruba or the Caribbean island for Netherlands, for an example, and stuff like that.
Can we include Aruba? Can we include
yes.
Aruba?
No Seychelles, unfortunately.
We have also Chinese university. Can we include universities outside Europe?
No, I guess no. Sorry, but it won't be the case. So let's move to the problem. Mono beneficiary once again versus multi beneficiaries. Again, probably next year, when we will submit another proposal, we will be open to have a multi beneficiary, because now it is possible, even it is suggested to have a mono beneficiary partner. As you can see, it is possible also to enlarge the partnership with affiliated entities and other participants now allowed. Let me go very fast. See the budget for this year. Very. Finished. The project length is still up to 1 or 2 years. As you can see, the budget is a little bit increased. In terms of single project, it is not possible now to submit a proposal lower than 40K euro, 40,000 euro, and it's something good. But there is not a higher boundary, so we can submit a proposal even of 1 million of amount. Let me not wrap this slide and go to the criteria for having this is very technical. I don't want to bore with you with this point, with this criteria, which is the technical criteria for the evaluators. You can see the threshold should be minimum 60 point, splitting this criteria we mentioned. Very last slide, again, after Fred, we can think about GINGER. GINGER could be the acronym of Global Investigation with a new generation of education and research. So we can have Fred and GINGER. Thank you so much.